Hey, how's it going? I think I'm. Hold on. I think I'm having an audio issue here. Give me a second. Um, let's see here.
Actually, I think it was my side.
There we
Can
go.
you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay, so I think I've just done a full intro with the sound off. So I'll just quickly do it again. Welcome to the Thunder from Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Graham Solomon, and what I try and do is bring on guests like Zach, who are doing a great job in the REI landscape from different genres, bring them together, interview them, get up close and personal, find out how they started, who they are, how they started, and basically how they got to the current moment with their REI journey. So, without further ado, I was just saying, which people probably didn't hear, was that I had to channel my inner millennial, my 18-year-old millennial, just to get on the level of you, Zach. Because if people that know you from wholesaling houses for real that see you, you're pretty pumped up. You're pretty pumped up all the time, and you get pretty excited about it. Now, some would say that's a youthful thing, but you just actually really love wholesaling and REI, don't you?
I have such a huge passion for real estate, and it's not a millennial thing. It's just a passion for this business. I truly believe in my heart. Wholesaling real estate and real estate investing in general is the gateway for most people to achieve financial freedom. And if that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what is. Like, I've gotten so many texts, so many people sending me checks that they've gotten 17, 16 years old, where they were in such a terrible spot financially, and they were able to change their life just by wholesaling real estate. And I know from the knowledge that I give, I can help people's lives just become completely changed. And I don't know how that doesn't get anyone jacked up.
Definitely. I mean, more and more, you will probably see now that there's like 16, 17-year-olds getting into the business out, getting excited, trying to work out a way that they can actually get into the business. So you've probably led the way with that a bit on your platforms, because go back and tell us about how you started off. You were only 17 when you started off, were you?
Yeah, I was about 17 years old, and I started in wholesaling real estate. And this is in the United States. This is in the state of Florida. So basically, I started out wholesaling real estate watching my dad. He was actually really into wholesaling real estate in Port St. Lucie, Florida, and basically asked him, "Hey, how can I get in this business?" And he basically told me if I went in hard enough, I'd just do it myself. So probably a little hard knocks there, but really that's kind of how you do it. You know, if you really want to go in there and learn wholesaling real estate, it's best to sort of learn from experience. You know, if someone's going to tell you what to do it, you're not going to get passionate, because once you get a couple FUs, everyone says no. Most people quit, and most people quit within a month or two. So it's not really in your best interest to give all of your effort to help someone out. So I get what he was doing there, and basically read all the books I could. Not much YouTube videos back then. It was not good. I was not too happy about that, but basically try to get all the free knowledge I could, and learned all I could do basically was bandit signs. I didn't have the money really for Drag for Dollars. I really didn't have the money for direct mail. Cold calling really wasn't too existent in 2017. Just it wasn't as popular. So I did bandit signs, and those are the little "We Buy Ugly Houses" signs, and stuck those out. Got my first $20,000 deal. By the time I just started scaling that up, by the time I graduated high school at 18 years old, made about $100,000 in wholesaling real estate in under a year. Basically, from there, started going virtual when I went to university, and came back after I think one semester to do wholesaling full time, because I was making so much money in it. Kept doing college classes online, the same college. They didn't even know I was doing online, but we won't get into that. And basically scaled it up, started working with Rick there, and we partnered, and now we run the largest wholesaling real estate operation on the Treasure Coast here in Florida. And that's what we do: creative financing, wholesaling real estate, anything real estate investing that's going to make a ton of money, we do it. And try to help the people out learning how to do it for free.
Yeah, I'll jump back into that a little bit later about how you've diversified. But firstly, there's an urban myth that you used to do like cold calling from your dorm room and upset all your mates. They'd be in there trying to chill out, and you'd be in there cold calling people. Is that true?
Oh, it's true. Like one of my roommates there, they have like a girl or something over, they had a fun night or something, and they're getting ready to go out, and it's like 6 p.m. I'm in my room just dialing, smiling, dialing, smiling, dialing, and that they know that, like I'll do it 5 days a week. I mean, you're bringing your girlfriend over, from 2 to 7 p.m. I'm out there calling, like it's on you. So they understood it, basically 2 to 7 p.m. for a full year straight. Even when I came back, cold called 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for a year straight. And that's really where I broke through and became very good at cold calling. And probably my biggest gain of acquisition skills during that time was learning how to talk to sellers, build rapport, and close deals virtually. I think virtual wholesaling was kind of a myth in my mind. I really didn't think it was real. I only was able to do it in person. And basically, when I was forced to learn how to do virtual wholesaling, I was able to do it. It's pretty amazing what humans could do if you say, hey, you can only run 2 miles. You only think you can run 2 miles, and then you have to, like, let's say there's a what are we? You're talking about Australia, so let's say we got this crazy poisonous snake behind you. You got to run 4 miles. You're going to run 4 miles to safety. That's kind of what had happened. So I didn't believe virtual wholesaling would actually be real, but I was forced to do it, and it worked.
Yeah. So did you learn how to multitask? Did you get your mates and their girlfriends to do comps for you while they were there? Did you try?
Oh,
Did you
no,
try and they wouldn't be in it, so you had to do it all by
they,
yourself? And so
no,
you've done thousands of hours of calling by the time you sort of got to 18. You'd already done a lot of calling. You'd cut your teeth on, how to build rapport with people and how to talk to people. So you just hit the phone super hard, and you were just driven to get really good at firstly connecting with people.
yeah. I mean, none of my roommates, none of my buddies there helped me do ARVs or comps. They were too busy, studying, doing their own thing. Which, hey, no big deal. I was kind of my own solopreneur type thing going on there, so no big deal there. But yeah, just
So I just
learning
want
how
to
to
go
do it
through your
myself.
highlight reel. Sorry, Zach. I just want to go through your highlight reel. You've got about 25,000 people in your Facebook group. Um,
Oh yeah,
you've got hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos, educational videos. You've got a six-figure plus business,
seven.
um, seven-figure. All right, so it's gone up since last time we spoke, but seven-figure business. But one of the key highlights that you forget to tell people is you were a keen college wrestler. Is that true? Is that
Uh,
something that people don't know about you?
um, not in college. I was pretty good in high school.
High
I
school
was
wrestler.
captain for my team. I was pretty good.
So
But
was there
no,
a
I
point
mean,
where you were looking to go real estate, MMA, or was it just going to be real estate all the way?
no, I like my head too much. You don't get any like you don't get concussions or anything with your brain or something from wrestling, so it's pretty good. Unless you get slammed or something. So
So it was a
the
pretty
issue
basic
was,
choice.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I was really into it. Like for like 4 or 5 years, I was doing it in high school, and then basically my senior year, which is I got into wholesaling real estate, 17 years old, got my first check, and my love of wrestling really went down. Why the money just kept coming in, and at the end of the time, end of the day, like I wasn't doing the extra reps I needed for wrestling because I was so into wholesaling. It's I definitely saw an opportunity to change my life. And then basically once high school was over, still did wrestling my last year, and then I was like, I'm all in on wholesaling real estate. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and so we've spoken about like early days. You did a lot of cold calling. I remember seeing you. I think when you first basically started your Facebook group and your YouTube channel, you were out doing. You'd done bandit signs. You were doing. I think it might have been running for dollars or riding for dollars. I think that was one video you did. You were just. I think you were running and you were taking down addresses. So you've done all
Oh
the.
yeah, I remember
You've
that.
done all the grassroots stuff, haven't you? You've sort of done all the stuff to build up, and obviously now you've got a really big business and you've scaled and you've put systems and everything into place. But how important do you think it was that you actually had to go through all of those things and really, use a lot of sweat equity? Was that important for your growth, you reckon?
It was probably the most important thing I've done. Like I can't go on a YouTube channel with 25,000 people watching and then 25,000 extra people watching on wholesaling houses for real and tell you in my heart of hearts that this is how you should door knock. This is how you should drive for dollars. I couldn't legitimately tell you that if I didn't actually do it. I wouldn't feel comfortable when I tell somebody, hey, go to your local fire department and get the fire damage property list. People look at me like that's not a real thing. Go and do it. I literally have done it. It's true. People don't believe you until you actually do it. I've done all the sweat equity stuff, like every type of thing. I've door knocked, bandit signs. I've gone to the auctions. I've gone in the trenches there. I've gone to the courthouse to pull these leads. I've had code enforcement running after me more times than I would like with bandit signs and have them calling me. I've had wholesalers try to call me, chase me down in car. Like I've had every situation in wholesaling real estate done because I eat, breathe, and live this stuff. So it's really important. I think the most important part of it is if I teach cold calling, you should, if you're going to learn something about cold calling, do it from someone who actually does it. And who do you believe? The person that says, I cold call and make all this money, or the person that'll go live every single week for hours and hours and cold call and close deals, live. That's what I do. I do what I don't do it as I say, do as I do. And I believe my actions speak louder than my words. That's why I kind of started my YouTube channel. I wanted to show what I was doing. Hey, first video is like, hey, look, I'm driving this house. Let's try to get a contract. And, I showed the contract. Probably should have not done that. But that's what I did. Like legitimately, I've done every single part of this business. Some are a lot harder than others. I would avoid some of the door knocking stuff now, but I'm telling you, whatever I did back that was hard, it's helped me grow into a better wholesaler today.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose the big question is, you get attacked by any dogs when you're running for dollars? Did you ever get a dog attack you? Because
no, I mean I'm in Florida, so most people have like those fences, and they weren't really bad areas. When I went running for dollars, it was basically I was training for a marathon last year, and I finally did it because I got locked up, at home, So I was running like 15, 20 miles. So I was like, let me just run around and look for houses while I was doing it. And I mean, I was doing pretty good still, but no, it wasn't really that bad. I mean, I've had a couple dogs run up on me, but I'm pretty good with dogs. And it's really your demeanor, I guess, when a dog comes up to you, but not any crazy ones yet.
Well, I suppose that poses another question, Zach. What's a young guy that's totally immersed in wholesaling, REI? I mean, you've just given us one clue. You go running. I was going to ask, what do you do to sort of stress relieve as a young guy? What do you do to sort of in your spare time? I reckon I know your answer. You'll say I do wholesaling because you love it. But are there certain things that you use to decompress, to get out of the headspace every now and then?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you right now. This seems crazy, but to decompress from wholesaling real estate full time, what I do is I'll go on YouTube and make videos about wholesaling real estate and have a Facebook. Literally, my hobby is doing YouTube videos, editing YouTube videos, and talking to people in wholesaling houses for real, my Facebook group, and giving free coaching out. That is like my hobby, stress relief. After I did my marathon, I kind of stopped. I still run like once a week, but like I'm not like obsessive over it. I'll weightlift or something, it just gives me more energy because I mean, I do a lot of work and a lot of streams and, keep my energy up for 2-3 hours at a time. I did a 4-hour one last week. Just exercising, keeping my body in shape, but love fishing, love everything outdoors, but yeah, stress relief. I mean, I do real estate videos, that I do it for fun. I don't make money doing it. I do it all for free. It's kind of a hobby. I'm trying to change the way people learn this business. So that is my hobby.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And, it's the old thing. If you love what you do, you never have to work another day in your life. So you've sort of hit that on the head from a very young age. So that's awesome. And also, Zach, the last sort of personal question I'll ask is, how did it go down when you said to Dad, look, I want to get into what you're doing when you're at college? Did he give you the look and say, well, I don't know, mate? Did he give you any stern talking to, or did he encourage you to do it? Was that a conversation you guys had?
Well, I was by myself, so not really. He was
pretty happy with
17.
it. He was pretty happy with it.
I mean, I was making 6 figures. Yeah, he's like, all right.
So he
didn't really care.
The proof was in the pudding. But so he was quite happy. He said, great industry to get into. Yep, no dramas, or he didn't. Because I know a lot of dads sometimes in the business they're in, they might say, "Oh, son, you might want to go another direction." My dad did it with me. I've done it with my
Yeah.
sons. But did Rick sort of say, "Well, it is a great industry," and did he know that you were going to probably enjoy it as much as
Nope.
nah?
I would not recommend anyone getting into wholesaling real estate. Like, if it is not for the faint of heart, it is hands down the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. It was the most stressful thing I've ever done in my entire life. It was just, it's hands down the hardest thing possibly I could have ever mentally done physically in my entire life. Like,
Yeah,
I would not recommend it for most people. It is like, to do what I've done is extremely tough, stressful, and most people mentally couldn't take it. And it not to say that I'm tough or anything, but um, the mental stress you have to do with, like, you got no money, you're trying to get a deal, uh, you're cold calling for hours and hours. Everyone says no to you. No one's behind your back. Uh, it's just the life of an entrepreneur. Most people are entrepreneurs because it is not a fun life, and most people fail. I look at it the way is, I wanted to decrease the chance of failure as much as possible. So to do that, to increase the chance of me being successful, I had to put in as much hours possible, just to beat the competition around me. If they're cold calling 2 hours a day, which is used to be a normal thing, cold calling 2 hours a day, I'm like, let me do 5 hours a day. You know what? If I do 5 hours, I think I can gain an advantage and maybe diminish that chance of failing. And always had a chip on my shoulder. Um, Always had to deal with people who were like 40 or 50 on these appointments, and beating them out when I was a lot squeakier voice at 17 years old. I wish I was doing videos at 17. No one believes me, but I was a lot shorter. I was skinny. It was fun. I had a lot higher pitched voice, and but yeah, I mean, he was definitely hesitant. I don't know if I knew the stress it would have brought me under, and I didn't really see the proof in the pudding or the money. I don't think I would have done it. It's not for the faint of heart. It's tough, but it's definitely a challenge. I think it was definitely worth it, and it's changed me into the man I am today.
Well, on that topic, Zach, what would you say like the super highlights have been so far? Like, give me some one or two highlights, and then probably finish off with the lowlights. You know what I mean? Because it is a roller coaster business.
Yeah.
So maybe just from your perspective so far, what are some of the highlights and what are some of the lowlights so far in your career?
Yeah, I'll go with the lowlights first, not to bum anyone out. A lot of the lowlights were, I've gone months without getting deals, and not good. Like, I mean, this was like 3 or 4 years ago, but I basically spent all my money on marketing. Didn't know what I was going to do with that. Um, so a lot of the lowlights, when I was starting out, especially in college, was especially when I came back from colleges, I was working 18, 19 hours a day. Like, it was not good. Like, I'd work 14, 15 hours in wholesaling, and then I had to put 3 or 4 hours into college just because I wanted to get it done. And uh, I did that. So, I mean, it was not, I was taking like 17, 18 credits. I was crazy, but it was doing 18-hour days for like a year straight. It's mentally draining. Even when you don't really see much changing, your income's kind of the same and you're just working insane hours. Uh, that was never fun. I've had deals stolen from me. I did a video on it. I had a $70,000 deal stolen from me, from an older dude, in wholesaling. And I had to pay a bunch of money on a lawyer to get this deal saved. Got the $70,000 deal back. But when I found out the guy stole the deal, he had the memorandum and I didn't have a memorandum signed. It was not good. But I thought I was going to have to sell the guy and he was going to give me like 4 or 5 grand to just be quiet. But I ended up getting it to a 70,000. It's great, but a lot of lowlights there. Did a bunch of flips where, we had some people with, not so good track records, coming and breaking in the house and threatening to throw it on fire. Very stressful stuff. They have insurance on one of those properties, some of the lowlights, but hey, I mean, it's all part of the game. So, the highlights, I think the biggest highlight I could hands down tell you, like, as of this video, is I don't ever have to worry about money for the rest of my life. I think that's the biggest one. I'm not a flashy guy. You don't see any crazy watches. I have a phone. Who needs a watch when you got a phone? I have my dream car. It's just a regular truck. If I wanted to just quit everything, like, let's say I want to quit wholesaling, quit real estate, quit everything, I have enough passive income from real estate, other investments, other companies I own. I don't have to work anymore, and I could easily live off of a 6-figure passive income like 6 figures of passive income every single year, adjusting for inflation for the rest of my life. I don't have to work anymore. It's kind of the coolest thing ever. It's like they have these things lotto in the United States. It's like, hey, win the lottery here, you win, 10,000 a month for the rest of your life. Like, I already have like stuff like that. Like, that's probably the coolest thing I could say. And second is I have time. I can spend as much time as I want with my dog, my family, anyone. That's pretty cool. And the third, probably one of the most important highlight is I truly believe I've changed the way wholesaling real estate. Me and Rick have forever. You used to have to pay 5, 10K to get one-on-one coaching to learn how to actually do this business for real. And I definitely believe I've changed so many lives that would have never been changed. I've had DMs from single mothers who literally were on food stamps. They had no money. They didn't know what they're going to do, and they're able to make a 6-figure income. Providing for their families, which possibly they wouldn't know what to do without it. And knowing how to change people's lives like that's probably been my biggest highlight.
Yeah, well, while you're on that topic, I'd just like to personally thank you, Zach. You've allowed me to share your free course in my group, and that's helped people within my group have a resource when they've got little money to be able to fast track themselves. And I mean, that course itself has, I hate to think of the thousands and thousands of people, from within your group that have used that course. And that's a really great thing to be able to get people started for $0, maybe change their life a little bit, to give them money for marketing. So it's just amazing. I mean, it's a great, I was actually watching something out of there today. So it's just a great resource to have there. I tell as many people, hey, go to, I've actually got on the screen there. So people, it's freewholesaling.com. And it's just awesome. It's just, you can always go back and check everything. And yeah, I just, not just myself, but on behalf of all the people that you've given that resource to, we'd all like to say thank you. So that's awesome. And like you said, a lot of people that I talk to actually say that. They say that that's probably one of the things that keeps driving them and inspiring them is the fact that they're actually helping people and helping people to change their circumstance in their life. So that's a great point, Zach. And I know you're out there doing it all the time. I've been in your group since day one. I jumped in the group early, and I think I got a foundational member badge, so I hold that up. I've tried to adopt you as my American son, but you've told me that I'm probably more your dodgy Aussie uncle. That's probably what you see me as more, not. So I really appreciate it. But I just want to move on about how you've started on wholesaling. You've got a great business up and running. You've put systems in place, and then you've moved into other areas like wholetailing, sub-twos, and all this sort of stuff. Do you want to just explain how you did the transition across into those things?
Of course. Yeah. I appreciate the compliments. I love it, man. But yeah, I've gotten to all of it. It's just, it's kind of the natural progression. I always say, I'm a wholesaler first, but in general, if you had to tell me what I actually am, I'm a real estate investor, first and foremost. And really, I look at everything, all of it's a tool. Wholesaling real estate, in my opinion, is not it's not a net worth builder. It's not like the passive income thing. Wholesaling's work. It's a business. Hey, I love businesses. That's what makes the real money. That's part of the most important part. But when you actually want to go out there and start making money, that's going to change your life. Where kind of what I say with the passive income, I don't have to work anymore, and that's true wealth. I can't. You could give a wholesaling business to a son or daughter, obviously, but if they don't know what they're going to do, that business can be worth zero. But I can give a rental property and have a management company deal with it, and they'll provide them forever. That's something pretty cool. So yeah, I'm into rentals, creative financing, commercial real estate, all that fun jazz. But I kind of do it different ways. So I'll break it down to wholetailing first. Wholetailing, basically house flipping, except I don't really put any money into it. Basically, what we do is we stretch these wholesaling deals. So let's say, for an example, I have a $100,000 property. I have a cash buyer ready to buy it for $25,000 more for $125,000. I make $25,000 on assignment. That's great. In my market right now, I'm in Port St. Lucie, Florida. A lot of people are going to Florida. It's warm. There's no crazy winters. It hasn't snowed in my city probably 60 years, like not 1 ounce of snow, which is great. So a lot of New Yorkers and people from California, which are probably paying an extra 15% on their taxes. They're just flooding over to Florida, and they're willing to pay a bunch of money. The average price in a house in California is closer to like 800 and 900,000. And people from like New York City or Long Island, they're usually paying $1 million for a house. So they come here to Florida. That same house that they paid $1 million for, they can buy it for 250 or buy like a really nice house for 400,000. So they're willing to overpay basically. And that's sort of the issue, which is causing a lot of these properties to be bought for higher than they're actually worth. So I can actually sell them to these end buyers who are not actually going to have as a rental. So they're willing to pay more. They're getting financing for it. And then we just kind of throw it on the market. So that person's probably willing to pay 140, 145,000 for the house. So all I do is I close on that deal with my title company, list it on the market, sell it to them. Obviously, you have to pay a 3% commission and closing costs on the sell side and the buy side. But again, I have a title company. I don't own the title company, but I buy a lot of houses with that title company, so I get the best rates possible. And it's pretty cool. And I get reissue credits. I don't want to get too confusing with people, but I usually net around an extra 20 to 25% on my wholesaling deals by doing that without putting any money really into the property. And it's pretty cool. It just allows me to go, from making like high six figures to pushing above seven figures. I didn't even when I first did this, we didn't even have to do any more work. We easily pushed into seven figures, just an extra 20% bump in our profits. Then we always do creative financing. Rick, more of creative financing than not. Really, it's a play of how to make a bunch of money during a market crash. And we take properties over subject to. We'll do a lot of lease options. We love creative financing. And then obviously we'll rent those out and make more money than the average rental on it. But everything real estate investing that makes a ton of money, we love to do it.
Yeah. What's your favorite out of, say, the big three, like seller finance, sub two, and lease options? Have you got a favorite one that you use as probably the most strategy, or you just wait to see what the house, what it looks like when you actually, take over a house?
Lease options are my absolute favorite. Seller financing, it depends on the seller finance. So my favorite creative finance deal is a seller financing deal where I put no money, and everyone says no money, and then I got 50,000 from a rich uncle. But it's not, literally 0% interest. I didn't have to put any money down, and I just have a renter in there, and I own the thing for life. And I pay like a $700 mortgage, and you have someone in there for $1,500 a month, and it needs no work. A lot of the money making creative financing is finding the right tenants. I have another great seller. So that seller financing deal is great. I have a tenant who's living there for 3 years. I haven't had one call on it, and to keep the property pristine. It's great. So it's definitely the right tenant you have to get in there. But lease options are my absolute favorite because it's $0. There's no legal risk at all. If you do a subject to wrong, you could get fined or you could lose the property and be in a world of financial ruin. Lease option, it's almost impossible unless you do something like legitimately fraudulent to go get in trouble for it. That's why I like lease options better. You make a ton of money in it, and they're really good. My average lease option is closer to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in profit. But I mean, that's over 5 years, but I love them.
Yeah, that's something that the international people and people outside of the States blows their mind. Creative finances, you just can't do that in most other countries. I know England and probably parts of Europe you can do lease options, but you can't do any of that stuff. So it's just amazing, and the opportunity that you guys have got in the States with all that sort of stuff, it's mind blowing. So that's awesome. And you also do virtual wholesaling, and you've got a lot of videos out there on virtual wholesaling. I think you've even done them on like micro flipping and all that sort of stuff. And actually today I noticed, I clicked in and saw you were doing your top 20 virtual markets, and some peanut chimed in and actually put your market as number one. I think that was me. Because last year you put my market at Knoxville as number one and ruined it for me. And it was flooded with thousands of people. So I just thought I'd get you back this year. But that's great. And what virtual markets do you work in outside of your market in Florida? What virtual markets do you guys work in?
I'll tell you, my first two virtual markets I've ever done 3+ years ago was Knoxville and Detroit.
Okay. Yep. Oh, the old Wayne County. That's right. You used to do Wayne County, didn't you?
I still do Wayne County.
Yeah.
And then I do Knox County also. Very, very good markets back then. Of course, they get more and more flooded. I found Knoxville, because everyone on Facebook, like these 17, 18-year-old kids are just saying, I'm making all this money in Knoxville. And they're like, how are these kids making all this money in Knoxville? Like, they're making $25,000 checks in virtual wholesaling. They just keep bragging and bragging and bragging. I'm like, I got to get in this. And I did very well. Obviously, and then I did a YouTube channel, started talking a little more about it, flooded it in. But yeah, Knoxville's gotten a lot tougher because more and more people are in it. It's definitely a switching game, but I'm very good at finding good markets, so I'm not really too worried about it. Uh, but yeah, Port St. Lucie, anyone can go try to find it. It's not for the faint of heart. Definitely a very tough one to do. But yeah, I did Wayne County. I still do Wayne County. I think another thing you kind of mentioned here with people in the international community, it's like, how do you do all these creative financing, this wholesaling? First of all, I mean, it's regulation, obviously, but as you see in Australia, the average price in like Sydney or Melbourne, it's like insane. And that's kind of like the United States too. Like, I'm not going to go to New York City or Los Angeles and wholesale and make a ton of money. That's an issue with Australia, which is like most of the population lives in like 2 or 3 cities, which is not good. And there's not really a lot of like suburban sprawl areas. There's no like Houston, Texas, where it's all really cheap real estate. A lot of it's kind of expensive. But that's really where you kind of find a virtual wholesaling market. Not like the international community. England's kind of got that. You got Leeds, you got some other LEEDS, like you got some other markets that might work. But yeah, I mean, virtual wholesaling, you really got to find where there's a ton of wholesaling deals and not a lot of saturation. It's been Richmond, Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area. This Fresno, California is still pretty good for us. But yeah, we still do a ton of virtual wholesaling, and it's really finding a place where not a lot of wholesalers are at, but there's a ton of deals. And that's what I saw in Wayne County, and that's where I saw in Knoxville.
Yeah. No, awesome. I just wanted to also ask you, I mean, you don't have to give any examples or anything, but do you actually invest in lease options, rentals and that virtually, or do you usually keep that in your own market?
I keep it in my own market.
So
it gets way easier.
Yeah, it's a bit easier to control. There's probably a lot of more moving parts. So
I live in Florida also.
Yeah.
So you got to look at laws. You know, Florida is it's probably one of the most extremely landlord friendly states. Other states, it could get risky. So that's the way I kind of look at it. There won't be rent control in Florida for a very, 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 very long time. So,
and something else I wanted to ask you, Zach, was if there's people watching and they're fairly new, or they want to, they've been in it a while and they're having a bit of a slump and they want to kickstart their business, what would be your best advice? I mean, you've been in it a while now. You've probably tried every different thing. What would be your advice, to kickstart their business, to give it a bit of a kickstart?
Yeah, I can tell you right now, it's like talking to anyone about wholesaling. It's really, everyone complicates wholesaling so much. I don't understand why. It's really a simple business. Like, I can make it sound really complicated if we really want to. We can go in the nitty gritty on everything and make it super confusing. But really, wholesaling is a really simple business. It comes down to 3 things: marketing, acquisitions, and dispositions. That's it. Most people's problems are in marketing. Acquisitions you can fix pretty easy, and disposition's a joke right now. You go to Facebook, pull it, it's easy. Freewholesaling.com kind of shares it, but most people have issues with marketing. And I always break it down. So if someone comes up to me and says, Zach, I can't do this in my market. I have no results. Wholesaling sucks in my market. I can't get any deals. I'm like, okay, let's slow down. Let's kind of break down what you're doing. What are you doing? Well, I cold call a high equity list for 2 hours this month, and I got no deals. And, wholesaling sucks. I'm like, all right, well, let's kind of break this down. You need to be pumping those numbers up. Like, it's just a math equation. It's what percentage of a deal do you want to get this month? Do you want to make it 90%? Or do you want to make it 4%? You cold call 2 hours a month, it's going to be at 4%. How do we increase the percent of you getting a deal? Call more people. You just get a better chance. Every single call you do is like a 0.001% chance of getting a deal. But you look statistically, I'm a math nerd. If I could just call tens of thousands of people a month, you just start compounding that percent, it's going to be pretty high. It's going to be up to 70, 80, even 90%. So that's the way you got to look at it. So when someone says they can't do it, I'm like, okay, did you pull the government list? Did you pull the code violation list, the probates, the water shutoffs, the fire damage property list? Did you drive for dollars? Did you do any of these things? No. Well, go do that and get back to me. Most people are like, oh, I drove for dollars. I got no results. How long do you drive? I drove an hour this week. Give me 500 properties a week for a month straight. Call that list and get back to me. Use truepeoplesearch.com. They come back that said, Zach, I got 2 deals. They complicate the business. They think they have to do this like an insane like cross regressional analysis of their marketing. It's like, just go out there and do it, you know?
So I'm hearing keep it simple. Repetition. Just keep doing it. If you, like you said, if you're doing Facebook posts and everything, just do heaps and heaps and heaps of them. Don't just give up after 2 days. Do it for like a couple of weeks. If you're doing cold calling, it's got to be continuous, text blasting, all that sort of stuff on the marketing side. So keep it simple and just repetition. And you just got to commit. You got to commit to the big game, don't you? The long game, really, and just.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, you've probably seen it a heap of times, Zach. People get 3 or 4 months in and just drop out. And if they may have stayed in for another 2 or 3 or 4 months, they're probably starting to get somewhere. So probably just look at it as a longer-term thing rather than just something, bang, it didn't work. So, yeah, I mean, they're probably the little nuggets you're throwing out there. Any other little gold nuggets, you know, when it comes to someone that's trying to sort of prime up and build up their business?
Yeah, I can tell you right now, like work on rapport, work on talking to sellers and connecting with sellers. The best way to build your skills at closing deals is by just calling and cold calling. You can build your cash buyers list by calling Zillow for sale by owners. You can build your skills talking to people, but just by cold calling. And lastly, you can just find motivated sellers by doing it. So my biggest gold nugget is going out there cold calling. But everyone says, oh, I don't want to go cold call. You don't have to. I mean, you can SMS text blast, but most people don't have the money for that. You know, the biggest thing is just taking action and putting in the hours. If you're not where you're at in life right now in wholesaling real estate, if your results right now aren't where they want to be, you're probably not doing the work it takes to be at that. And that's what you have to do. So if you want the results that others don't, you have to do what others won't. And what other people won't do usually is cold call 4 or 5 hours a day. I was willing to do that. That's my results are unordinary because I did an unordinary amount of marketing to get the deals. Every single time someone says that they don't have results, again, I'm going to say this again, their marketing is not where it actually has to be.
So even if it was direct mail or Facebook ads, paid Facebook ads, you're saying that you've just got to, you can't just throw a couple out there and expect it to work. You've got to just keep sticking at it. And, you know, it's not because, you know, some people aren't into cold calling, but they may be able to use that repetition that you're talking about to actually do direct mail because that suits their personality more, or Facebook ads. So it's just about that committing and just being relentless and just, you know, pumping all the marketing out, isn't it? I mean, you can't expect to drop a little bit of marketing and then go, oh, it didn't work, and it's not going to work that way. So another thing, Zach, also you know, you talk about rapport and that you actually encourage, I know, you know, when you've got people when I used to jump on your Zoom calls when you were coaching people, to actually really care about the person, to actually look at the person and try and solve their problem and try and help them with their problem rather than just as a transactional type relationship. Yeah. So that's another thing that you preach all the time, that you know, and you know, once again, for a young guy, you live it and you breathe it, and you go out there and you know, I've seen a lot of your videos and that, and you go out there and you talk to people my age, like, you know, go mate, how you going? You know, you're very natural with people. So that's another thing that you really preach, you know, off your platform, is to actually treat people really well and treat them like a human being. And if you can't help them, maybe put them onto someone that can help them and move on to the next one. So, all right, cool. Well, you know, I probably could ask you a few more Australian related questions, like what's your favorite Australian band and what's your favorite Australian song, but it's probably not relevant to wholesaling. Probably relevant to your age. AC/DC. What song?
Thunderstruck.
Yeah, there you go. On the Thunder from Down Under podcast. I didn't even script that. That was amazing. So where to from here? Where to from here, Zach? What do you foresee the next couple of years? I mean, you've had a huge rise. I've seen it with your Facebook and your YouTube channel. Like you've had a huge rise up. Where to from here? What have you thought about goals moving forward, or are you just taking it as it comes?
For the content side,
Both. You know, for your business, and for your education and your channel and YouTube and your Facebook group. Yeah, where do you see that heading in the next couple of years?
I started the Wholesaling Houses for Real Facebook group with one mission in mind, and that goal has not wavered once. And that's to put every real estate wholesaling guru out of business. Or I'll stop when every single person stops selling coaching for wholesaling and does it for free.
Okay,
I have a very long way to do it. I'm 22 years old. I have a lot of life left on this earth. I have a lot more content to give out. So I don't think these gurus are making not tens of millions, but I mean, altogether probably tens of millions, but they're making $2-3 million just selling coaching. I'm here to study. I've cut wholesaling gurus' revenues in half. I've been told by some people, and I'm the biggest objection when they get those coaching calls. Like, hey, here's my discovery call to sell to buy your $4,000 coaching program. They say, well, freewholesaling.com teaches it for free. Why would I buy you? I'm their biggest objection now, which is kind of cool. I'm cutting the revenue. They're making $4 million a year. Now they're only making $2 million. But my biggest goal has to change wholesaling real estate to teach it for free and to show you exactly how to learn it for free. Like that has been my goal from day one. There used to be a time where you only had to learn coding, like how to code computers, and you had to pay a bunch of money to go to a big university to learn it. Basically, you can learn how to code Python, C++, anything for free. And that's changed a lot of people's lives. People who are living in maybe impoverished communities learn how to code, and they're like prodigies at doing it. And now they can make $500,000 working for Google, and their whole life's changed. I kind of take that approach into this, is where I want to teach it all for free how to do it. If that's the way I want to do it. So my biggest goal here for the content I do is to put every guru out of business, which definitely will happen. It's going to take a couple decades, but I'm willing to do it. On the real estate investing side, still make as much money as I am now. I only work 5-6 hours a week, like I have a whole team. So keep the team going. I'm not the type of person that wants to work 18-hour days anymore. I kind of want to relax. I have other businesses I do. So try to just increase my net worth and help as many people as I possibly can. Want to change more lives, obviously. I don't have a certain goal. As many wholesalers as I can reach, that's what I want to do.
Cool. And you're responsible for a few things that I actually do. My new alarm, which is get out of bed. That you have as your intro. That's actually on my phone as my alarm to get me up, because I work through the middle of the night here. I'm a night shift worker because I'm, obviously in the States. I've got behind me, I don't know if you can see it, the American flag on my TV.
I love it.
That come from Zach, from the old days in the Zoom calls when you had the flag. And I remember I had the dodgy $10 one that I used to hang up every time I come on to the Zoom call with you. So there's that. I've actually had to channel a inner millennial, 18-year-old millennial, just to be able to get me head around how quick wholesaling and everything moves. So that's another thing hanging out with Zach's taught me. So there's a few things that you're responsible in my world too, Zach. So I just thought I'd put that flag up there for you today, because that's takes us back. Have you got yours up? Can I see the flag in the background? Or you've got yours up as well. Beautiful. So no, awesome. All right. Well, I'll leave. I know you're busy, so I really appreciate it, Zach. Like, I reached out to you. You offered to help me because I'm actually streaming for the first time to YouTube, and you actually offered to help me. That's how we actually got this interview happening. I have a joke that I've got to go into your Facebook group and tag you in some of your posts to get you to check your DMs, because you're that busy that I said it's easier to get into Dustin Poirier's wife's DMs than it is to get into your DMs. So, and you got back to me and you said, hey, I'll help you with this. I mean, that's what I'm saying, Zach. People that know that you're out there to help people. You offered to help me set up my YouTube stuff, and which I actually got up and running off the ground. But that's how, and then within a week, you've turned around and said, oh, yeah, I'll come on next Tuesday. So that's the sort of guy you are. You're always eager to help. You're always eager to get out there and help people with what they're trying to do in the industry. So, mate, I shout you out as one of the three peoples in the industry that have really helped me especially being so far away. And I really appreciate everything you've done for me over the probably 18-month period, and also what you've done for other people, and just the amount of content you've put out for other people to be able to get into this industry, stay in this industry, and survive in this industry. And it really does change people's lives. So I can't sing your praises enough. And I really appreciate you coming on. And yeah, look, I'm always jumping in watching you and Rick. I love your stuff, and I love your new studio and the energy that you and Rick have got together. It's fantastic. So just keep on doing the good work, mate. I'm sure you'll be around. I'll be in a rocking chair and I'll be watching Zach as a 35, 40-year-old dominating the industry. So just keep at it. You're doing a great job. And like I said, I appreciate everything you're doing for people. So we'll sign out. Now, I have threatened, just before we go, for you to fly over here and come surfing, but you've got a bit of a fear of the great white shark, haven't you? You're not big on the great whites we've got out in Australia.
I love great white. There's great whites right now. They're all coming from Boston all the way from Nantucket all the way here. There's great whites off the beach.
Okay,
I'm not too scared of great white sharks. Great white sharks I'm not scared of. They're really not going to eat me. That might give me a nose bump. The bull sharks here in Florida are crazy.
Yeah.
They're called bull sharks because of how much testosterone they have in them. They'll eat people. They scare me. I'm not scared of the surfing. It's more of, everything trying to kill me in Australia. The man of wars, basically.
The snakes. The crocs.
I looked it up. These are snakes in Australia. They're not snakes. They're like water snakes. They don't breathe air. They slither, and if they bite you, you're dead. It's like, scares me, man. And then when I'm on land, everything wants to kill me too.
Once you've come out for your holiday, it'll prepare to go back into the wholesaling world for the dangers that face you in the wholesaling world. So it's great preparation. So maybe one day, you'll get to do it. I'm hoping to come to Florida one day. If I do, I want to ride for dollars with you, Zach. I want you to grab a push bike and we'll ride for dollars, and we'll make those commitments to each other. But all right, I'll let you go. Thanks for coming on, Zach. Thanks for sharing your story and sharing some gold nuggets for everyone. And once again, freewholesaling.com. Go there, and Zach and Rick have got a free course to get you up and running in wholesaling. I've got your YouTube channel there, youtube.com/flipwithrick. And then I'll even put your Instagram thing there. I mean, just so you get a few more follows. That's a young guy thing. I haven't got Instagram, but I'll just put yours up there. So check Zach out, check Rick out, and you won't be disappointed if you haven't already come across them. The amazing amount of content's unbelievable. So, all right, we'll sign off. Good on you, and I'll be in the group in the next couple of weeks harassing you again. And I thank you very much for coming on, Zach.
Thank you so much, Graham.
No worries. All right. I'll see you later. I'll chuck you back in the green room and I'll sign off. Okay, there you go, guys. That was Zach Ginn, the one and only Zach Ginn, 21 years old, is doing amazing stuff, inspiring other young people, inspiring older people like myself. And with himself and his dad, they're doing great things in the industry. Really, if you just go and check out the YouTube channel, Flip with Rick, you just see the amount of videos out there. Unbelievable, the knowledge there. So I really, commend those guys for the work that they're doing and the help they're doing. So check it out. Yeah, you can come back in and watch this and check out the YouTube channel, the free wholesaling course. And I think Rick's even got another one. Not sure. I think it's with, what do you call it? I'm not sure, but he's got another free one there. All right. And we'll see you next week with a new guest coming up next Tuesday. Bye for now.